Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Andrea and today I'm sharing 3 modern farmhouse DIYs that are perfect for everyday decor. So let's get started. This DIY is a modern farmhouse welcome wreath. I'm using this gold wreath form from Dollar Tree along with all these really pretty florals. I think the mix of the gold wreath with the muted florals gives a nice modern farmhouse vibe. This DIY is so simple, but it is so pretty. I'm cutting the flowers with my wire cutters, then tying them onto the wreath form with floral wire. I'm keeping all the florals on the bottom half of the wreath, and I'm leaving the bottom center blank with just the stems because I'll be adding a bow there. I have this burlap and lace ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I'm folding it into a loop, then cutting it down to size. I made sure to make the ribbon an inch or 2 longer than I wanted the bow to be, so that way the ribbon could overlap and I could glue it together. I'm gluing each of the layers of the ribbon together in the center of the bow. Then I'm folding the center edges to form the bow shape. I'm going to tie it all together using this cotton twine from Dollar Tree, and I'm tying it a few times around the center of the bow, then tying a knot on the back and cutting it off. I'm hot gluing the bow onto the bottom of the wreath, then fluffing up the sides a bit, and our welcome wreath is complete. Today's video is part of the Make It Modern Challenge hosted by Mia at Make It With Mia and co-hosted this month by Lisa Marie from Living My Best Life with Lisa Marie. I'll have a link to their channels below along with the playlist, so be sure to check it out. This DIY is a modern farmhouse art piece. I'm using one of these Dollar Tree bamboo cutting boards, and I'm painting it with this white chalk paint from Deco Art in the shade Everlasting. I had whitewashed this cutting board for a DIY I was working on earlier this year, but that didn't end up working out, so I'm covering it up with this white chalk paint. I'm going to be making a stencil with my Cricut, but you could also freehand draw something if you like. I intended to make a vinyl sticker and not a stencil, but that didn't work out because of how intricate and complex this design was that I chose, which is a line drawing of a plant. I actually do think drawing something by hand would have been a lot easier, but what I did was weeded out all the parts I wanted to paint, and I stuck this vinyl stencil onto my cutting board and painted over it with black paint. It worked pretty well. I just didn't get as crisp of lines as I was originally hoping for when I thought I was going to be using the design as a vinyl sticker instead of a stencil. Now that the paint is dry, I'm peeling off the vinyl. A lot of the pieces are super tiny, so I'm using my weeder tool to help lift them off the cutting board. I want to make the edges a little nicer all over the plant, so I'm going in with a small paintbrush and the same white chalk paint, and I'm covering up any areas that got too thick with the black paint. The white paint is actually covering up the black really well, and I think this helped make the design look a lot better. I'm also going over some of the lines with a black pen to make the lines even cleaner. I'm painting the top and bottom edges of the cutting board black, but I decided I also wanted a thin black border on the top and bottom, so I'm using painter's tape to section that off, then painting the border. Once again, the lines didn't end up quite as sharp as I wanted, so I'm going over it with the same black pen to clean it up. I have this gold paint marker from Deco Art, and I'm using it to go into my design and add little elements of gold and make it a little more interesting. I liked the black and white, but I also felt like it was missing something, and adding these little gold touches totally finished it off. I'm just going throughout the design and adding little lines and dots and whatever feels right. If you're not already, I would love for you to follow me over on Instagram. The link to that, along with all my other social media profiles, are always down in the description box below. This DIY is a pretty planter that can be used any time of year. I'm using this Flowers and Garden galvanized planter from Dollar Tree, and I'll be painting it with this white chalk paint from DecoArt. I had originally planned on distressing the planter instead of painting it, but I tried a method I saw on Pinterest and it did not work at all. It looked so bad, so I'm covering it up with the chalk paint and going for a different look. I'm using these large wood beads as feet for my planter, and first I'm painting them with the same white paint. I found it was a lot easier to paint the beads if I put them on the end of a paintbrush, because then the beads don't move around. Now I'm hot gluing the beads onto the bottom of the planter. For the modern touch to this DIY, I'm taking this gold paint pen and going over the words Flowers and Garden on the planter. The original font on this planter is a serif font, but I think sans serif looks more modern, so that's what I'm doing with the paint pen. And since the chalk paint covers everything up so well, you really can't tell there's little bits of the letters that aren't gold. I'm taking all of this greenery and white flowers from the dollar store, and I'm arranging them inside the planter by poking them into some floral foam. If you wanted to make this a seasonal arrangement, you could add in some fall or winter colors, or spring if it's that time of year. I decided to keep it neutral and go with just the green and white for an everyday look. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments which of the 3 DIYs was your favorite. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll see you next time.